Hey guys, this is Susan with Pack Leader Dog Training. I'm here with Rachel Kohler Dog Training. So back
Hey.
for the Q&As. It's a little different now since we're used to doing it together. So
Right.
back to kind of where we were.
Got a
But
little spoiled doing it together, but
yeah,
yes,
yeah, it was good. But I'm the next one to come to you, right?
that'll be exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Come
Yeah.
see Virginia.
I figured it'd probably be December, if that's not weird or cold. Because November's like, I have my one board and train and then Thanksgiving,
Yeah, that
know.
makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I think December should be fine, like beginning of
Mhm.
the month.
Sounds
I'm
good.
excited for that. All right. We ready to just dive right in?
Yeah, yep.
All right, so I'll start us out with our first question. My 7-year-old dog that I've had since she was a puppy has randomly started peeing in the house. In the middle of the night, she'll go downstairs to the basement and pee. I just moved into a new house that doesn't have a doggy door like the last one did. How can I fix this?
Okay, so with urinary issues and pooping issues, I always go to check a urine sample first, just because, it's not normal for your dog, right, to just randomly be doing this behavior. So that would be the first step because I'd hate to start training and all of that. And then we find out months into it, your dog did have a urinary tract infection, then that was all for naught. And then your dog's kind of like, um, dealing with that whole time. And it's really uncomfortable. So let's check a urine sample. If that's all clear, then I would have you go to crate training. If your dog's not crate trained, why aren't they? Because you moved into a new house. Maybe there are some random smells in the basement that your dog's learning to mark over, and it doesn't consider the basement part of your like house or den, so it doesn't mind marking in the basement. But that's what I would do is just to implement some structure and crate train the dog, and the dog's crated overnight. um, and then you just do like a strict structure from there, so that way it's like you always know where your dog is to be able to hold them accountable to make sure there's no other patterns that you might not be seeing with their bathroom habits. What about you?
I like that you said the vet thing, because anytime someone asks me any sort of potty training questions, if my dog's always going outside of the bathroom, but then now they're randomly having accidents, that's always my first go-to. I'm like, take them to the vet just to be safe. And I said like almost exactly what you said uh, to them because you wouldn't want to train that, and that like them peeing inside could be a symptom of whatever, and just
Mm-hmm.
trying to train and correct that could be covering up a symptom for something that you should be treating.
Right.
So I really like that you said that because I always say either health issues or environmental changes. And here we know that the dog did move to a new house. Um, and with the doggy door, maybe the dog was never actually fully potty trained. Just like it went outside, but it didn't actually understand like to hold its bladder until it was let outside.
Mm-hmm.
So crate training is really good, like you suggested. And then also like monitoring water intake. And then when you take your dog out to potty, I've recommended they go out on leash and actually like make sure the dog goes potty and then brings them in.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, pretty much that. But my go-to is always vet first because like better safe than sorry.
Right. And then that could be a quote unquote easy fix.
Right.
Like
And then
that.
good you know this because it's like now your dog can be healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Number two, what's the best way to stop puppy mouthing?
So I love getting this question, and that's not sarcasm.
Yeah.
So me personally, Susan, I know you have some different approaches, so it'd be good to like kind of hear both. Um, I, if a puppy bites me, put my hand farther into their mouth. It works. Um, the thought process behind it is right now you're a fun chew toy. Puppy's biting on you. It's a lot of fun. I'm going to push my hand farther into your mouth, and oh, that's not fun. So then suddenly I'm not a fun thing to bite anymore.
Hmm.
I used to work at a daycare, and I would like specialize in puppies. I would do like a little week-long puppy thing there. So I've had several puppies come in with biting issues, and I would do that, and I would direct the owners to do that, and then the puppies don't bite anymore.
What if the
Um,
puppy like just nips your heels and stuff? Like not your hand, but like would nip at you, like your pant legs and things.
huh. Um, Trying to think because like I'm like visualizing different things and it's gonna depend on like the puppy's size, their age. I'd probably my go-to, I would still probably just reach down and put my do like the thumb under like the tongue thing.
Mhm.
Um, you'd want to mark it so they go bite your pant leg, you'd say no, and then probably do the thumb under the tongue.
So
Um,
still the same thing. It's like when you bite me, it's unpleasant.
yeah, because
Mhm.
that's like my overall thing. A lot of people, some will say redirect. The problem with redirecting is you gotta have some. I don't know. I think you could unintentionally train your dog that hey, you bite me, you get a reward. Um, I think timing could really easily be messed up there because a lot of times people will say just redirect. I'm like, no, I want you to understand very clearly now when you're a puppy that biting me is not okay. Because when you're an adult dog, biting me is not going to be okay.
Right.
Um,
And like there's the missing thing with redirection, right?
mhm.
Because I will redirect after a correction.
You're right.
So it's like you tell them what they should not do,
Hmm.
and then this is what you should do.
Yeah, because you're a puppy, you're teasing. Like, no, don't tease on me. Yes,
But
tease on this. Yeah.
so still correction, make that uncomfortable, and then after that the puppy's gonna sit there and be like,
What can I
okay.
do?
And then I'll have a toy and I'll be like, look, you can play with this. But
Right.
that's the missing key is the punisher in
Right.
between.
Yeah.
For puppy mouthing for me, I do love compressed air. I love it for puppy jumping and puppy mouthing. It doesn't always work because you have to have that tool, right, to be able
Right.
to correct with it. So when I go to a client's house and that's the issue that I know the dog has, of course I'm going to have it. And it's going to be very loosey-goosey, like it's just going to be in my one hand. Not a big deal. And then if the dog doesn't unwanted behavior, jumping or biting, I say no. And then they get compressed air.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say it was my personal puppy and it had never started nipping like or biting, and so I don't have that tool and it just starts mouthing on me, I would do exactly what Rachel said. I would say no and then kind of shove my hand down their throat. Like, this is really uncomfortable. And then they'll like kind of cough or gag
Right.
and then
They're
they'll
like,
be
oh
like,
heck.
that's it.
Yeah. And then you move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that's my thing because again, as trainers, I'm always growing and learning, and the compressed air is not a tool that I'm used to using. So it's something that from you I've learned a lot about. So that's like it's not my go-to. But since watching you when I was up in Pennsylvania with you, it's like okay, I see like the benefits of this tool. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But then one more thing, just to comment on this again, when I was like just move on, um, a lot of people might not want to correct them because it's a puppy. But the thing is, your puppy is going to grow into an adult dog, and really biting is not cute. Um, and it's not an emotion thing. It's you bite me, this is what happens. You do X, I have to do Y. You bite me, I have to correct you. And then you move on. So you're not scolding the dog, you're not holding a grudge, you're not doing anything. And like you said, then that's the great time to redirect. So it's like, okay, this negative consequence happens because you bit me. But now we get to play with the toy because this is a better choice.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's just a really important one to remember. Like, it's not the end of the world. It's you bit me, I corrected you. Let's move on.
Right.
It's like that with all corrections. Like, okay, let's move on now.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. What are we on 3? We just started. How are we on 3 already? My dog went through training and has been doing really great. Recently, I started to babysit for this little girl. She's a wild child and is constantly bouncing off the walls, encouraging my dog to break command, teasing her, and overall amping my dog up throughout the day. What can I do?
So one of two things. Talk to this child. Because that's not fair to your dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dog's doing the best they can. But of course, if someone comes over and is like, hey, come on, let's go off a place, the dog's going to get up off a place. Unless you
Right.
specifically role played that exact thing. But that's not fair to the dog.
Mm-hmm.
So I would address the child. If that's not at all a possibility, then I would put the dog in a kennel when the child's at your house.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be fair for everybody.
Right. That was like exactly what my thoughts were. So, address the kid. Now I know it's hard when it's somebody else's kid, but like they're in your house, your rules.
Right.
So that's my go-to. Have a sit down with the kid. I know the kid is like 10 years old, so it's like they're old enough to where you can like sit down with them and talk. And I was like, explain to the kid that you tease my dog and they break command, I have to correct them. So now I corrected them because of you.
Right.
Um,
I would do
and
that. I do that too.
right,
On
like
a
I had to correct them
personal
because of
level.
you. Right.
Mhm.
So I'm like maybe that will help them understand. But then just advocating for the dog, like you said, it's not fair for the dog to have to try to sit on place while they're being teased, or while a kid's jumping on the couches and running over their place bed and doing X, Y, and Z. So between talking to the kid and hopefully they'll get it and the dog can just stay on place, or just put the dog in the crate. Because like you said, it's just not fair to the dog.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I had anything else for that one. It's pretty much just like advocate for your dog.
Straightforward. Yeah. All right. Are one-on-ones or board and trains better to do?
Well, it completely depends on you and your dog. Yeah, I mean, it really just depends. So, assuming one-on-ones are like one-on-ones, we're talking about the same thing, is where trainer trains the owner trains the dog. Yeah. Those are going to be great if you want to put in the reps. If every day you want to work on your dog on training, if you want to do your homework and listen to your trainer's advice. If you want to be in the training process and see every step along the way, one-on-ones are a great option. If it works for your schedule, if it works for you, if that you're the type of person who wants to do that. And if not, then that wouldn't be the best option for you, because for one-on-ones to be effective, you have to do the homework. As the owner, you have to put in the reps with your dog outside of your trainer being there. Board and trains, or like my hands-off thing, those are good for owners who I just want my dog to be trained. I don't need to know all the little details that go in between, because some people don't know. It's not like, okay, here's a trained dog. It's lots of steps to get there that won't matter in the end. These steps don't matter. It's the end result that matters. So if you don't care about these middle steps, then the board and train or the hands-off training would be the way to go. And then I think it might, I don't know about you, but it will probably depend also on the dog. If the dog's got any severe issues, things like that, a board and train where the trainer is doing the majority of the work would probably be beneficial, as opposed to the owner working with the dog who's potentially has some nasty behaviors. But what do you think?
Separation anxiety, severe aggression, the ones you definitely want to do a board and train for, because those dogs need 24/7 training. And yes, when you have a dog, you're training it 24/7, right? So even as the owner, if you try to train this dog, you are training it 24/7, but as a trainer with a board and train, they are on the whole time. Whereas you as an owner, you're not on the whole time. So you're not going to be able to train effectively 24 hours of that day to that dog, because you have other responsibilities. It's just a fact of life. So with the dog that needs that kind of attention, it'd be best to do a board and train.
Yeah. I think another great thing about the board and trains that you offer are, it's also like a reset for the dog. So especially we'll use separation anxiety as an example. They're in that house, it's that environment that they're used to that's giving the separation anxiety, that's causing all these bad behaviors. When they just go to your house, they get that reset, and then they come to you. They're still your dog that you love and that you know, but with a much healthier mindset, and they're ready to move forward and with a positive, more healthy relationship with the owners. Nice little reset.
Which is cute, because that's what I told Hank's owners. I was like, this is a reset for you. I'm like, don't, you spent significant money. Don't waste it, So in their case, well, anyone's case really, when you get your dog back, you're gonna want to love on it for the first day and a half, and then you're like, okay, I'll be strict from there. No, those couple days really matter, because this is the dog's first impression of you coming home. So you have to set the bar, here, because that's where the dog is. Don't set your bar lower than the dog.
Because then you're gonna have to fight to get back there, and it's like you say, it's easier to just set the tone where it is. And your dog will thank you for it in the end. You'll thank yourself for it in the end.
Side note, because Nash, the one-on-one dog I'm working with, his owner called me with an update today, and that was one of the things she said, because she's trying to get him used to the kennel a little bit more, so she has been kenneling him like throughout the night, like right before bed she'll kennel him.
Nice.
And she said since doing that, he's become more lovey. He's actually more affectionate with her. And that's the cool thing, is like when you give them structure, they feel better. And
Right.
usually they'll want more affection. If that makes sense. That's happened for my clients.
That's so nice. One more side note, because you mentioned Hank, and I just have to say this. Everyone should go to Susan's page, if you're not watching on her page, and watch Hank's go home video, because that was the best thing I've ever seen, and she did an amazing job with Hank. So go check it out if you haven't watched it already. But yeah, just wanted to throw that out because you were talking about Hank, and I was like, go watch his video because it's really good. Gosh. That's so good to hear about Nash, because I know she was talking about getting him in the crate more, so that's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. She's doing a good job. Shout out to all the owners doing their work, because it really is hard.
Yeah, because I'll tell people, I can train, not to say I can train any dog. I'm not all that in a bag of chips, but I can train your dog, and they can listen to these commands, and everything's going to be fine and dandy. But if you don't put in the work, if you don't follow through the training, then you may as well have not just paid me to train your dog, because they're not going to change unless you change. So that's really way to go for doing the work, like you said. Yeah. I don't know whose question it is.
Yours, number 5.
Are you sure? Okay, I'll trust you. Okay. My 4-year-old Min Pin is sometimes reactive when she sees strangers. She'll either get really stiff and just stare at them, or lunge and bark at them. I want her to be more social. How can we do that?
I'm assuming this is on a leash. Okay, because that's what it sounded like. So let's address the social thing first. Socialized is just being able to calmly exist around a variety of factors. So people, dogs, cars, bicycles, that kind of thing, whatever your dog's reactive to. Does your dog know heel? Because if it doesn't, I'd probably start with that, because then the dog knows a clear picture of what's expected of them, right? So you're going to start training heel in your house, then you do some driveway drills, do it on your sidewalk outside, and then once they're doing well, take them out on an actual walk and then go off property. A dog in a good heel is not reacting. So when you're heeling, if she starts to react or get nervous about something, you correct that. So you're not correcting like her nervousness, you're breaking a heel. So she can't focus on being in a heel and reacting at the same time.
And so where should the dog be when they're in a heel? Because you made a great post about that today too.
Slightly behind the left leg, at least. They can be a little bit further than that, and most dogs tend to be a little bit further behind than that, but slightly behind the left leg. That puts them in follow mode. So that's what I would start with. And then when you do that, have her in a heel around all of these things, she's just going to get used to, oh, like they're not doing anything to me. I'm able to just walk and they don't affect me because my humans are on my back. And then after that, you might be able to get to where you don't have to be in a heel, but I want your heel to be perfect in every situation outside first before you'd attempt that.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you said about the heel. I did want to point out the following thing, because while all dogs, like that's where the heel is, with dogs who have any reactivity or whatever, it's like they need to be behind you, because follow mode, they're going to be more focused on you and where you're walking and less focused on everything that happens. And then if they do get distracted by something, having that space is going to help you correct it before they're like a couple feet ahead of you pulling already. So it gives you some more wiggle room. I did want to add 2 things to that. One, I'm going to say this, I think, every day. Advocate for your dog. Always just advocate for your dog. So your dog is stranger reactive. You want her to be social, meaning you just want her to not try to bite people. she doesn't need to be friends with people. So if you're walking her and she's perfect in her heel and she's doing so great and someone wants to pet her, no. My dog doesn't like other people. And plus, like, you're a stranger, so like, why are you approaching me and my dog? But advocate for your dog, and that's going to help them be in the mindset of, I can just walk and people aren't going to bother me. How awesome is that? And then if you want to take it a step further from that, place training. Give your dog a solid place command. So if it's like you have people over, your dog should either be in the crate or in a place. Because again, they're going to learn that they can just be in their space and be safe there. Those would be my go-to. I would drop the whole socialization, because to me that just says I want my dogs to be friends with everybody. I just want my dog to exist and not try to bite people.
Right.
Yeah.
So my next question is very similar to your question. Do we want to do it now or switch it around?
Surprise me. I mean, I guess if it's gonna like flow, we can go with it.
Okay.
Or if it's...
My dog is strange or reactive when outside. How can I correct this? We don't have him on a leash, as he is even more reactive on leash.
Okay, so it's not really nice for you to steal my questions. No, I'm just kidding. So hold on. So your dog is strange or reactive outside,
Yeah.
but he's not on a leash. Am I to assume he's in a backyard? And
We have like a farm. It's
okay.
like a farm kind of situation.
Okay.
And this dog is just able to, like, it knows to stay on the property. When people come over, if he doesn't know you, he'll come and act kind of like pretty aggressive. But she said she doesn't have him on a leash at all, because when meeting other people, he's extremely leash reactive.
So like little dog syndrome, kind of running up, barking, doing circles, kind of like intimidating him like that, probably.
I don't know if he's ever made contact with anybody to bite somebody. She does have an e-collar, and she said if she taps it, he'll stop moving forward and come back to her. But she wants to be able to get to the point where he's just kind of like, meh, doesn't care.
Okay. So I'm just trying to think, because I don't want to answer exactly the same as the other one, and this is a different situation. Like the dog is just kind of doing whatever. So I'm gonna go slightly different route to get to the same answer. It sounds like your dog doesn't have, just assuming, I don't know what the rest of the day looks like, but it sounds like this dog doesn't have a lot of structure. At least not outside. So when the dog is outside, he's like, this is my property, this is my house, how dare you like come to my property, right? Because I'm in control here. So I would like, because I'm just like imagining a dog running around doing whatever it wants. So I would go structure throughout your day. That's going to include things like you're going to need like to train him. So place and recall for this situation at least. Training a solid place and recall would help. So just throughout the day, even when your dog's not outside, have him or her working to help them get in a calmer mindset. And then when you're outside, if you know company's coming over, I would put your dog on a place and have them back tied. And if they react out in any ugly way, you correct it. You'd be correcting them for breaking place because they need to be lying down and calm in place.
You do this in the house first and then move outside, or just start outside?
Yeah, so I would, from what I'm hearing with this, I don't know the full story, but I would probably start inside with this dog, just to kind of you have to start inside when you train new commands anyway, so it's not like so distracting. So I would start inside to get him a nice structure, kind of help him understand what the commands mean and help bring his mindset like to a little bit of a calmer place. And then I would move outside and work him outside when no company's coming over. And be like, okay, when we're outside, you still have to hold your place command. You still have to recall. Any other commands you want to throw in there, the more the better, but at least place and recall. So then you can say, okay, you can have company over. Your dog is going to be on a place. If they break, you correct them. And then if you want to release them, if they were calm, recall them back to you. You just like go baby steps from there. But it's going to basically just be in command, because when you're left to your own devices, you're not making great decisions. So let me just help you out, and we're going to just like be calm and hang out in our place.
Makes sense. Yeah, I love that, because my answer was pretty similar. The only thing I changed, so I just wrote like treat them to or teach them to exist around other people in outside locations, outside of the home, as well, after you've built up like their commands inside. Advocate for them, and then he'll learn that like the owner has their back. Again, same kind of thing. So he's strange reactive, so these are a threat to him for whatever reason, but that's not his job. So give him structure and guidance to be able to show like, no, like I got all of this, don't worry about it. And then the only other command of significance I thought would be out.
Why didn't I think of that?
I know, I'm glad you didn't, because I wanted one thing to add.
No, yeah, you're right. Wow.
I said I had out as the main ones, and then I had recall question mark, and then I was like laying down question mark, and then that's like all
like
the
more commands, the better. Like honestly, like if you can just train your dog all the commands, let's do it because they're all so useful. So question real quick about what you said. So you said taking them outside places. So would you start training them inside, and then would you take them on field trips first, and then have the final thing be, okay, can you behave at home? Or would you kind of do?
I'd probably do them interchangeably.
Okay.
Like once he knows it inside, I want it to like go everywhere. Like just
more structure.
Yeah, more structure.
More exposure.
I would have like a setup at home outside, and then take them off property, and like back and forth that.
Right.
Just because then he gets so much exposure if he's off property at like a park.
Right. Like, rather than one person coming to your house.
Yeah, so many people that it's just going to be like a flooding effect. And I just think it would help.
Yeah, I like that.
Like one incident at a time.
Right.
But yeah.
I like that.
So cool.
It's funny, we had similar questions and answers.
I know, back to back, yeah.
Right. So, moving on. Hopefully your next question isn't a copycat again. Just kidding.
Well, we'll find out.
We'll see. Okay. So question 7. I have a 6-year-old lab, Duncan, who is fairly laid back guy. Duncan is currently our only pet. My husband wants to add a kitten to the family, but I've never seen Duncan around cats before. What should I do?
Well, my mind was thinking of different things, because I was like, if you want to know how he's going to react to a cat, it'd be cool if you had somebody that had a cat and then just saw how he reacted. But you can train a dog for anything. So if you definitely want a cat, go ahead, get the cat, right? And then we'll work on Duncan afterwards if you feel up to it. So some dogs don't care. Other dogs care a lot. But I would have, so sometimes I'll have the dog and the cat in separate rooms. They're going to end up going to the door and smelling each other. So it's a nice way for them to be able to smell each other, but not feel like threatened by the other one. And then I might have your dog in place or a down, and then just have the kitten like running around doing its kitten thing. And that way the dog sees like he can exist around this thing that's going to be probably acting crazy because it's a kitten. But advocate for your dog. So if your dog's on place, don't let that kitten come over to the place bed and like jump all over the dog, because that's not fair. But I would just teach existence to start, and then you'll know based off Duncan's reaction. Or if you don't, you can consult a trainer just to be safe. But like I can tell dog curiosity versus I'm gonna kill this cat.
Like a guy who's at your house.
Yeah. So if a dog's acting curious and he's a laid back guy, I would break him and just see how it goes. You know, honestly, but like within reason. So if you're unsure of Duncan's like motives, then I might have a trainer come over for the first interaction just so they can advise you. But yeah, that's how I would do it. What about you?
Makes sense to me. Pretty much what you said. I am a very cautious person. I would say, I just recommend this to everyone. Just fully train your dog. As a dog trainer, recommending dog training, what? No, but if your dog is fully trained and you can get him pretty reliable with his commands, even if not fully trained, especially out, because I'm going to remember that this time, out, place, and recall. those are like pretty good go-tos. So then your dog can be on place, the cat can be bounced around. If you decide to break him, you can out him and recall him away from him. But existence first before they like even sniff. So if you can exist calmly for a while, okay, you can like check each other out. But just don't try to rush it. In my opinion, I would like go really slow. Like even if it's like a week that they're just existing and don't get to interact at all, I'm okay with that. I know it's different, but like the 2 dogs in this house, they didn't have any like sniffing interactions until like not long ago. They were just existing together. And then again, always as a precaution, I would just keep a leash on the dog. So like if something happens, you can like step on the leash for the cat safety. But yeah, I think that would be my go-to. Fully just have them trained and have them exist for a while, and then see if they can just exist, not in a command together. But
Sounds cool.
that's what I think.
So my next one is not
Cat related?
not at all cat related.
Good.
So I crate my 2 dogs together because it helps them stay calm. Is this okay?
No. Okay, so I don't like it. Personally, if it works for you and your dogs and they have no history of like any sort of nastiness between them, I'm not going to tell you what you can and can't do with your dogs. If it works for you and your situation, okay. I personally am very uncomfortable with that, because if anything could happen, right? And if one dog gets gripey or somebody looks at somebody funny, you know, whatever, right? They're confined in the cage together, and that could get really ugly really fast. Another thing is I like crates to be the dog's space. This is your space to be calm, and this is your space where you don't get bothered. Well, now they're sharing this space with their sibling. I think it also leads a lot of opportunity for some resource guarding. Like, no, this is my space. Okay, but it's shared with somebody else. I personally would strongly not recommend that. But again, like if you're doing it and it works for you and your dogs and no one's gotten hurt from it, to each their own. It just makes me very uncomfortable.
So. Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Like you touched on all of the reasons why, but if it works for you and everybody's been safe, cool. Like that works for you, awesome. But I would never advise it.
And then this is just me thinking way out of the box because I'm like, you know, that's just not even matter. It doesn't even matter. Yeah. If it works for you, it works for you. And yeah, that's all there is to it. Everyone's different. Everyone's situation is different. And I would say, okay, I'm going to just throw this out. If your dogs have ever gotten into scuffles or whatever, I wouldn't. Because that's just like, I think, asking for trouble. If they comfort each other, maybe you can put 2 crates side by side, as long as there's not going to be like barrier aggression issues then. But maybe their crates can just be side by side and they can be comforted like that. I don't know. Just be safe. As long as everyone's safe and happy, then everything's fine.
Yep.
Okay.
9.
Question number 9. I'm getting a brand new puppy next week. I have bought all of her supplies and plan on taking her to a trainer ASAP. But in the meantime, what are some of the most important things I should do when I first get her? She'll be 10 weeks old.
Okay. One of the most important things you can do is not let them have full reign of your house right away. Right? I mean, everybody wants to do it because it's so cute.
Explore my house.
But puppy is a toddler. So all they do is eat, play, sleep, and poop. So your puppy's walking around looking to do
things in their mouth.
Yep.
It's everything in their mouth.
So yeah, it's gonna go poop or pee somewhere, and it's gonna go get into something. So I think people make the mistake of letting their dog just, there you go, this is yours now.
Here's your new home.
Yeah. And structure. So if those are the 2 things you do, just minimize how much of the house your dog sees. It only needs to be in a couple rooms, and you should also be in those couple rooms with the puppy. So I wouldn't just let the puppy go off into the living room and I'm sitting here watching TV because, again, we're asking for trouble, right? The puppy's a toddler. It doesn't know what it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to poop and pee somewhere and you're going to get upset, or it's going to chew on something it shouldn't. So, yeah, don't let it roam around your house. Keep your eyes on it at all times and provide a lot of structure. So structure is just like you're telling the puppy what to do. Don't give it a lot of free time because it can't handle it.
Mm-hmm.
So crate time, outside of the crate time, which would be potty, commands, some play, and then back in the kennel. Rinse and repeat.
Mm-hmm.
Kennel, out of the kennel to do commands, potty, playtime, back in the kennel. And you do that like every 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah. I really like, you said this before when talking about puppies, and I don't know why like it never clicked in my brain like this, but thinking of puppies as toddlers, one day you said like I wouldn't let a toddler just walk into the other room unsupervised. And like for me, I grew up, I always was babysitting. Like I always, when I was growing up, would babysit neighborhood kids. And I was like, wow, like I would never let a toddler out of my sight. So same thing with a puppy. So I think that's really important, the no unearned freedom. And they don't need to explore your house, and crate training. I've heard some people say, well, I'm just going to wait till they're older to crate train them. They're a puppy, crate train them now. Because then, one, that keeps your puppy safe and it sets them up for success now. It's also going to set them up for success in the future because the crate is just going to always be something that's a great part of their life. It's not going to be like one day, hey, go in this crate, and they're going to be like, no.
It's kind of like not having your kid in bed at all, like in their bed. So it's like your toddler gets to run around, and wherever you fall asleep, you fall asleep. That'd be kind of crazy. Like, you need to go to bed. It's bedtime. Go to bed.
I'm going to go run around and play.
Go to bed. Yeah. Same thing. Like, we put so much pressure on puppies, they can't handle it. And that's why by 6 months of age, most people are like, get this dog out of my house. Or we really need some, like, severe training.
Right.
Because between 6 and 8 months is when this puppy stuff isn't cute anymore.
Yeah, right. And any time someone says a puppy, I always remember this great quote. I think Tori Smith would take the lead canine training said it first, but it's like, you're raising a dog, not a puppy. So also remember that in the back of your head when your dog comes up and they're chewing on your shoes and you think it's so cute because their mouths are so tiny. It's not going to be cute in 6 months. So anything you would not think is cute and adorable and great from a grown dog that you're going to be living with for the next however many years, long time we hope. If you don't think it's going to come be cute all the time, don't allow it, right?
Right.
So yeah, raising dogs, not puppies. And also applause to you, right, for already having a trainer lined up. Because anytime someone has a puppy and they're telling me that they already plan on taking them to a trainer, I just want to like give them a hug and give them a high five and tell them that that's a great idea, because starting the training before there's issues is always good. Just remember to keep up with the training.
Yeah. All right, last question. Do I have to have my dog in a heel every time we go for a walk?
So that's going to depend on a few things. So if you have a dog who has a history of being reactive and being kind of snotty, I would go for yeah. Now I do think there is a percentage that I don't remember, maybe like 90-10. So maybe 90% of the walk they be in a heel, and then like maybe somewhere in the middle you release them and let them kind of sniff around a little bit, and then back in a heel. But if your dog has any like reactivity, nasty behavior, whatever, when they're not in a heel, they're all going to be more inclined to do that behavior. If your dog has no behavioral issues, it's going to be up to you. Like if they're getting structure in different parts of the day, sure, why not? Gaia, my dog, sometimes when I walk her, she's in a heel. Like if I haven't gotten to do a lot of like obedience work with her that day, then our walk is going to be our obedience work. But if she's been on her place and doing elevated sits, and if she's been working a lot in the house, when I take her for a walk, I just kind of let her be chill. She doesn't get to pull on the leash and she doesn't get to act ugly, but she doesn't have to be in a formal heel. So to answer your question, I don't know. It depends on your dog.
But like you said, if they have been known to be reactive and you've been holding them accountable every time you're on a heel, they've been acting great. Let's say one time you let them not be in a heel. Does it help or hurt?
That's a good
So
point.
do they choose that time to just kind of smell and just exist around everything? Or are they being reactive again? Then you don't earn a non-heel. You're going to be in
Right.
a heel every walk, which is okay, because
Yeah.
they can't make the choice, or they can't make good choices on their own. So you have to do it for them. And that's okay. Just because you have to have your dog in a heel doesn't mean they're not still getting the benefits of a good walk.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense to me. I like that. Yeah, I say I like what you said about trying it. Like if you can try it, see if it helps or hurts. But the key thing is going to be if it hurts, if your dog has been reactive, then you just got to go right back to healing. You got to go right back to that structure. But yeah, either way, it's like depends. If your dog is getting structured some other ways, then why not?
Right.
All right, was that question 10? Wow, our first Q&A back to being virtual.
Right? Oh.
It was nice when I was just sitting on the couch next to you and we were doing this, but that's fine. This is cool too, I guess.
Whatever.
Okay, well, thanks everybody for watching.
Yeah, thank you. We'll catch you next time.
See ya.